This is Ki11er Six. What's up? Thank you for joining all of our bullshit. I want to rant with you, so I think we should rant.
Let's rant. I
Let's
love ranting.
I do too. It's all I do. All I do. People love to rant about you and your aim in my stream, so I'm sure it might be
Aim.
cathartic. I'm
What's
like,
aim?
I was a controller bitch. Also, it's Borderlands. I'm sorry if you want to shit on Borderlands. It's go to Aim Trainer and then load Borderlands. It's not gonna be the same thing anyway.
Let me give you like a point of reference for how little I care about aim right now in my life. I was in the top 500 in the world on Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3.
We need to talk about
And
this.
now I don't care about aiming anymore.
You earned it. You earned it. You don't need to aim.
I'm taking the rest of my career off for aiming. I'm good.
Listen, this is why I love Hyperion weapons in 2, because it's like I can correct, let's go. And people always drag it. I'm like, no, it's genius. It's genius.
Yeah.
I don't have to think about it.
Exactly. That's why I like the Soul Render. Soul Render is like
Hell
my
yeah.
favorite weapon in all of Borderlands, like across every game. You hold the trigger, and if there's red dots on the map, they're not going to be there for very long. So
I love it. I love it. And so many things people use are like splash anyway. So I'm just kind of like, what's the point? People just who haven't played controller either, I don't know. They're dumb, because I always felt like controller was the most intuitive for me.
Right.
And I was like, is it just because I grew up playing like PlayStation and Sega and stuff where it just like the joystick was natural? And so when I moved to PC, I was like, no, like just if you hate it, you can use controller still. It's fine. And I finally got used to it, but it's still just like third person, especially, or then like driving mechanics, my brain cannot compute the same way as it does on controller. So like take Dead by Daylight, I cannot play it on PC like I can on controller. And so when people want to talk shit, I'm like, we just aim differently and we're more evolved. I'm sorry you think it's harder and we need aim assist, but you're wrong.
Yeah, we're also not going to have carpal tunnel when we're 50. So
I already have it at 30. So let's go.
Shit, never mind.
It's the arthritis. It's fine. Oh, right before this, I almost had a message. I was walking to refill my water, and apparently at some point this ice pack that is somewhere in a box on the floor leaked, and I didn't see it because all my lights were off, and I did like a split in the middle of my kitchen, and I caught myself just in time, and I was like, this would be the most embarrassing message to be like, hey, I'm stuck on the kitchen floor because I have arthritis and I just like threw out my hip.
Oh man.
But it was fine. I caught myself. I'm like, it's fine. I almost look agile. It almost looked intentional, but it was take stock. Is everything okay? Can we move? Okay, we're fine. This is a later problem. Fix it later.
What happened to me the day before Borderlands 3 came out?
No, what happened?
I fell out of my attic.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, do you have one of the pulley down?
I have one of the pull down ladders.
Yeah.
You know, you walk up the ladder, and it's like the dumbest thing in the world. You know, make 3 points of contact at all times when you're climbing things, right? 2 feet or 2 hands, 1 foot, whatever. So I'm at the top, and here's the problem. We had this insulation stuff put in the attic, and it's not really like insulation. It's like this foil kind of stuff that like holds the heat up there and doesn't let it into the house. It's weird. Anyhow, anytime we leave the attic, we have to like pull it back over top of the top of the thing and then put the ladder back up. Well, like an idiot, I used both hands, and next thing I know, I'm on the kitchen floor, and I'm like, oh, what happened? I cracked a rib.
Holy shit, dude.
My head hit the floor so hard that my glasses like flew across into the living room. I'm like, what just happened? And my wife's like, oh my God, are you okay? And I was literally this close to hitting my head on the kitchen cabinet because the way I fell out.
Oh my God.
Man, it was crazy. So the first day of Borderlands 3 being out, I played for, I don't know, it was like 8 hours that day with a cracked rib sitting here just like,
oh my God, you trooper. I can't do anything. The worst I had, my dad, I remember as like a teenager, I got a random casual, when your dad fell down the stairs, and I'm like, what? And he apparently just like fell over the railing, and I was like, God. He like broke his tailbone. No, I'm like, what the fuck? But no, I used to PA for SWAT, like the TV show SWAT. And I had been out at Disneyland all day the day before, and we had like 3 a.m. call times or whatever. And I was just like exhausted. I'm like, this was a dumb idea. Go shower, go to bed. It's fine. John Mulaney had just hosted SNL. My roommate at the time was like, oh my God, like we need to watch though before you go. And I was all pouty. So I'm like, quick shower, let's go. I go to step out, and at the point I had one of the ones that were a tub and a sliding glass thing. And again, like the kitchen thing, I like my leg just like slipped on something when I got out, and I like my whole head just like ricocheted like off the side of the door on where the door slides on top of the tub against the tub. And so I'm just like down, and I hear my dog, who's like 10 pounds at the time, just like sprint into the bathroom trying to get this door open, and she cracks open. I'm like, I think I have a concussion. This is okay. And so I like text them after a bit, but I sat down to watch this SNL. I'm like, it's cool. I get up. It's fine. And I'd felt 2 welts in my head and I never like hit it that hard. I'm like, it's fine. And the TV just kind of like keeps turning like this. I'm like,
man.
did I take an edible? Did I forget something? Like, I'm just like sitting here like, okay, I think I need to like not sleep for a bit. This is probably one of those things. And I just, every time I go to fall, I'm like, this is the moment. This is the moment. Yeah. It's the worst. Basically, I'm extremely coordinated. Coordinated.
Well,
I think
I can relate. After, the attic incident, I also fell down my basement stairs. So
we just need to avoid stairs.
Joke for me that I'm kind of the claptrap of the Borderlands streamer community. Me and stairs don't get along.
Stairs suck. They're overrated.
Man.
Escalators scare me a little bit, but I like them better. Elevators, where it's at. Let's go.
I think I just need to keep like a cardboard box at the top of the stairs and just sit in that and just ride it down the stairs.
Yeah, like a sled, like a Home Alone kind of moment. That would be way more fun. Because if you crash, at least it's going to be more fun.
At least it'll be hilarious for somebody.
Yeah, put a little GoPro up there, just like or a Ring doorbell, and then if you do crash, it'll be great. Viral.
Just live stream that. People don't need to watch me play video games anymore.
It's chill. It's cool. You have the exact same viewers. It's gonna be great. I got yelled at on my TikTok the other day that I'm too mean to Jack because he's actually a hero. If I'm too mean to Jack, we do not need him to come back. People have a problem. I say all the time, I think absolutely they have their SOS. I don't think they want to do it, and I don't think they should. And every time I see everyone tweet about it, my soul leaves my body because then I have people come in and ask me about it. And then it's the same conversation every time where people are dumb. They have no media literacy at all. They don't. And also it's Damien. Damien carried the role and he knows better. I feel like he's definitely trying to do a Peyton Manning thing where he's like, people like me right now. I'm not going to come back and like take over because the moment you jump the shark, you jump the shark. That's it.
Well, that's basically my take at this point. Like for the longest time, I was definitely in team bring Jack back because, and here's why, not because I'm incompetent or hate, story progression or like I'm a big like nerd when it comes to writing and movies and all that stuff. I worked in comic books for a while too, so like I have at least a grasp on the where you would do like the steps, like introduce your character at their point of normalcy, blah blah blah, put them into danger, etc. Yeah. But the reason that I was in Camp Bring Jack Back was that I kind of was worried that they were never going to hit that right note for a villain again. Mm-hmm. But I think, in my opinion at least, Sam Winkler proved that you could with the Dragon Lord.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think that the Dragon Lord is legitimately the second best villain that we've had in Borderlands.
Oh, for sure.
And granted, Wonderlands isn't Borderlands, blah, 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 but you know what I'm saying.
No, I agree. And I tell people all the time, I think one way they really did that well is, again, by casting Will Arnett for that, because he's so specific. And I think that's the thing, because screenwriter, I feel you. I argue a lot with people about just voice acting in general. And I'm like, there's so much left off the page for the writer and the actor as they're going through this. So the performances you really love, there is more depth there. And people really have a hard time with that black and white. And I feel like there's like a purity thing on the internet right now. Like I saw it on Tumblr like 10 years ago, and now it's like over to Twitter where it's just very much like real world morals and ethics in every piece of media we have. And if a character makes a bad decision, then they're a bad person. You're not allowed to like them versus letting them do their thing. And I feel like with Jack, people have they love to hate him, but they have a really hard time either being like, no, he's bad and this is interesting. And I feel like that's probably why, for a few reasons, the twins didn't resonate as well, because it's both a satire on a lot of people who do play the game, which I think they did really well. But then they're very much, we are choosing to be bad. This is selfish, which I think is interesting. And people won't go deeper than that. And so I feel like with someone like Will Arnett, an established actor that people have already a baseline kind of love for, like I'm not saying put a bunch of celebrities in Borderlands, but I think just having like a really seasoned actor who is known for that kind of sinister, selfish depth fits a Borderlands villain really well. And I know you're not a big fan of the Tales games, but like I feel like they did that really well with Patrick Warburton as Vasquez, and then even Valerie and August, like these people that you can't, pick out as easy, even though Nolan North is Nolan North. But when you're looking at people, it's so much depth in the very little screen time they have. But then Patrick Warburton wins you over in the first scene. And Will Arnett was like that for me with Dragon Lord. And that scene with butt styling, I didn't realize I was so invested. I was just kind of playing and doing my thing. And I was like, holy shit, this is personal now. And they did that really well.
Yeah, I agree. I think that if anything else, they should bring in Taco from The League as the next villain. You ever watch The League?
Yeah.
You familiar with Taco? He's he's
I forgot about The League. That was like
history.
Psychic damage.
I think he'd be a great villain. I would love to hate him.
That would be great. People do love to hate things. So I think it'd be good.
I think, one thing that's interesting to me is I've been hearing, especially since New Tales, that Reese has been ruined. Have you heard like these people saying that Reese? Okay, here's my take on this. And I was just watching back the end of Tales from the Borderlands earlier today when Reese is about to pull the implant, because I wanted to like get refreshed on that for this thing that I was working on. Yeah, I wanted to be refreshed on that. And there's this great shot, and I don't know if you remember the shot, but there's this great shot where Reese is crawling through the car after he pulls the car door off. He's crawling through the car, and as he comes out the other side, if you see this clip, it's literally his face is right beside of the statue of Handsome Jack's face. And I was like, oh, that is such a great shot.
Tales is such a good game. It's such a good game.
It's so good in so many ways. But here's the thing, like, I feel like Reese has always been this I don't know, he's always been selfish, even as Tales like progress, and even after like because the ending of Tales is what you're seeing at the beginning of Tales when him and Fiona are still at each other's throats. Reese is still that person. It's just people think that he changed because he goes through some shit. He's still absolutely self-obsessed.
He is absolutely so self-obsessed. I don't think that's why they ruined it. And I think Ray Chase was totally fine. I think a lot of it is I'm trying to trust where the narrative overall is going. And he felt the first time with 3 for me, body snatch. It felt wrong. And I'm like, I know this is the same character, but it doesn't feel like it fits in here. And the more exposure I have to it, I'm like, my inner Jack just wants to heckle him all the time, and that's fine. But like, I feel like the new Tales, I had this rant the other day in stream, I have it all the time, but where I feel like they need to be positioning him as like an unexpected like turn villain for us, because people miss so much. They miss so much. But the thing, I really love Tales and think people need to just sit and at least watch one playthrough, like a movie mode of it, if you don't want to play it, if that's not your thing, to appreciate, because it's such a love letter to the franchise, and I think does such a good job of expanding the world, but in a very grounded way that people are familiar with into, because it's so Pandora focused. But Reese's opening is he wanted to be just like Jack. That is what he wanted. And this whole game, no matter how you play it, guides you on this path of found family and do you trust Jack or not? And so that moment to trust Jack is always the canon one in my brain, because it feels like, the direction that Reese would take in that moment. But the Fiona one's interesting. But no matter when you break it down, there's a scene where he's on the roof with Jack of the caravan in episode 3, right after all this. And Jack is basically propositioning you to like get to Helios. And your options still at that moment, unless you've been a total asshole, is just like, yeah, I want to take over Hyperion. Like, that's still his focus in all of this, despite everything going on. So by the time he gets there, Jack wasn't going to kill him. He probably would have gone through with it. And the thing is, with the jackhammer in 3, I feel like, if anything, that just implies the canon that he kept the drive. That's what is in the game now. So however we want to do that. So him feeling totally like they're trying to make him Jack in New Tales, blah, blah, blah. I think you fucking kept the chip. I think he went in the vault, and because we don't see what's in there. All we know is that he saw how to be successful, and he stole this deed from Jack's office, which they don't talk about in 3. They don't talk about how he stole the deed back. And I think so much of him is incapable of staying on top and that fear of doing it, that making a fake vault, doing this, getting so deep in it to become that. It's the never meet your heroes is one of the lines, one of the main quotes in Tales that people miss. And I'm like, make Reese turn on us. And then you can give them redemption or not. But like that would make sense where this is going in that. And it would make more sense with the crystal and all of this weird stuff that's been thrown in there where people are like so judgy about them. Like, I don't think they're doing it to like bring back Maya and Jack. I think they're doing it because we needed higher stakes. And whatever they end up doing with that in the hands of someone we trust, it turns is one of the few things we haven't had in a Borderlands game. Other than Angel, but like that doesn't feel it was a very Atlas kind of and a Wheatley kind of thing where it's our guy turns on us, which is cool, but it wasn't like someone we have this established love for because she's not really in one really.
Right. Yeah, I think I'm with you on that. Like in terms of Reese not feeling right, I think Borderlands 3 is where he didn't feel right. I think in New Tales they put him back to feeling like what he felt like at the
he felt
end
closer.
Yeah.
He still felt like he lost a bunch of his lessons, but and he was just a little weird. But again, I can chalk that up to it's been years, and he's been top at him sitting there shopping for 0 action figures is Reese.
Right.
That's Reese.
Yeah, he's very much, to me at least, he always feels like he's been the same guy.
I get that.
So about that painting in Jacob's estate, though.
I hate you. Stop
but for real, like,
stop trying to make fetch happen.
Like, why is it in Jacob's estate, though? Like,
because it was an accident. I hate it here.
I'm sorry.
If they go and make it like, oh, his wife was a Jacobs and Aurelia, I'm gonna fucking kill myself. I can't handle, because I still have people coming in being like, did you know that Janie is Tina's mom, or do you know that Krieg is Tina's dad? I'm like, all of you are fucking dumb. I can't. People will come argue me on lore. I'm like, I'm the only fucker in here who will scream about lore for 2 hours. Do not come for me.
So realistically, who could that possibly be other than just some random woman that happens to be Angel's mom? Why is the face scratched out?
I feel like there is beef then. If we go back and make it not, oh, this is a family thing. If I were in charge of retconning this, and this is just off the top of my head, since we have Aurelia and TPS as one of the Vault Hunters, and I always feel like TPS Vault Hunters are very much like I put a Craigslist ad up, and these are the weirdos that I got who answered this, and it works really well. But they're all kind of shitty people. Clearly, Aurelia's a little fucked up. I mean, she sleeps with Troy. There's got to be something there. I feel like it's just a like a blood feud. Like there's a beef with whoever he married. Because the thing is, even the audio logs we get of that mission, it's a very casual, like this isn't something they expect, and it's a very normal reaction to everything. I feel like at any point in lore, it logically would have come up if there was a beef with Jacobs. Like he talks shit on Malawan in the Echoes and Opportunity. You know, he makes fun of stuff in a few different, the Red Text and Tales if you take over, if you let Reese trust Jack, because it turns everything into Jackopedia, so you get a lot of his commentary on everything, and it's hilarious. But he doesn't really ever talk much about Jacobs. Also, Nisha she loves Jacobs. And so with them being so much of the canon that they flesh out after the fact, I feel like you're really shooting yourself in the foot by making it be, this is actually like a family, like this is a serious black thing. We've etched him out of the portrait. He's out of the family, this half-blood kind of stuff with his wife. I think it's more like this woman is someone that Aurelia had serious fucking beef with for whatever reason. And, or it's a stolen thing. She thought it was funny. And I think that would be so Borderlands to be like, we just have this random thing, and the actual canon explanation to be like, oh no, I hated her. And so it was like I was scribbling out a yearbook thing. Like, have it to be such a throwaway explanation would be the most Borderlands way they can handle that. Because there are too many things with Jacob's tied in where Jack didn't give a fuck about it. I feel like it just would have been impossible with how much he really did internalize against bandits after what happened with Angel, that he wouldn't also have an aversion to Jacobs and have very vocal things about Jacobs given that. Unless he didn't know, but I feel like that's bullshit. I feel like that's just easy. I mean, we say this, and he had doppelgangers when he was supposedly low-level coder, you know, and it makes no sense. He's like rich, but also on the board and also not on the board. I have no idea. So who knows? But
yeah, I thought, because I had brought this up on Twitter and showed the picture and asked people who they thought and what they thought about and everything. And,
yeah, you did.
One of the people was like, well, you know, why would Jack be involved with somebody from the Jacobs family? And I was like, well, you know, Jack, probably infiltration, you know? That's the kind of shit he would do. Like, go hardcore.
Yes. I don't know if at that
hardcore.
point. It's so hardcore. He falls in love with the enemy.
You went deep.
I would absolutely believe that if it weren't. I scream all the time because again, people have a really hard time being like, this villain also has, whatever. But Moxie's canon, I broke up with Jack, is that he got too clingy. Like he's a serial monogamist as much as he tries to pretend he's not, because all of his body doubles are like, I had sex with a space vixen on Eden 6. Like they're very much pretending to be more grandiose than he is. And I think he's just such a little dweeb that got out of home and did this and was stuck in the rat race. After Angel, I think it would be like, yes, let's figure out infiltration. I don't know if he would think that far at the beginning because he's just so hopeful that he is the hero. Like he genuinely believes this till he dies. And that scene you're talking about in Tales is so important to me because he does have that talk where he's just like, yeah, I'll spare you telling you how many times I told myself the exact same thing. Like, but whatever helps you sleep at night. Like he's very much aware of everything that happens at that point. And I think it would just be cheapening it to make it be suddenly there's this Jacob's feud. And so I'm praying it's just like a joke they would throw in there.
Maybe we should shift to video games that made you cry.
Oh my God. Okay. Video games made me cry. Vocal, anytime I ask Vocal about it, he's like Walking Dead. Walking Dead dildo game every time. I feel like most dudes say that in Red Dead, but Red Dead 2 did make me cry. Portal 2. I Am Bread, but I don't know if I want to include that because that was just more rage tears. Spider-Man PS4. That's my daddy issues though. That was absolutely Doc Ock daddy issues. Just perfect pitch perfect. TPS makes me cry, but that's more of me just being obnoxious and a meme, not because it actually is worthy to be put on this list. I don't know. What about you?
For me, it's a very short list. I'm not that much of a variety gamer, so for me, like it's down to just Assault on Dragon Keep, the ending of that with Tina, and even I don't know, there hasn't been too many games that have like hit me in the emotions. And I've talked about this a bajillion times till people are tired of hearing me say this, but I'm not really a story guy that much, and I know that drives you probably crazy, but
we can't all be. It's fine.
For video games, like I just want to sit there and shoot shit and get loot. So most of the time, I'm not that invested in the story, but when I do get invested with like Assault on Dragon Keep, I get pretty invested.
No,
I'm in the feels.
I'm definitely like that because it's like I know you don't really. I mean, now that I know Call of Duty, that's hilarious. But you're very much like I'm not a PvP person. But like Overwatch really got me because everything else, I think with the ADHD, just hasn't moved fast enough now. Like Overwatch is really stimulating, and Valorant and stuff is not. And the lore doesn't attract me in that way, but it's like Overwatch, the little like comments that they'll have to each other before, the little things that change or the random final blow lines will just like hit me. And so that lore just like has me by the throat in such unexpected casual ways, but it's a fast pace. Like I'm not sitting here replaying the PvE that they just dropped. I'm replaying, just normal comp matches because that's what I want. And so I can get that concept of not loving story in games and just being focused on, okay, how fast can I go through this? But I feel like the ones that let you, like Spider-Man, I love that you are web slinging and getting the exposition as you're going. And they do have some cutscenes, but like I get way more frustrated in story games that have like this is a different character and we're doing the sneak thing and we're getting info versus like longer cutscenes. So like Last of Us works really well for me, even with the cutscenes, because it does feel like it's been a chunk of time with everyone. And so I feel like we can get deeper. But yeah, I feel like a lot of like Borderlands in general, that's why I always yell about them. Like I love story games, but we're not ever going to be at the point where we have like, it's looter shooter. Like it'd be wrong to be like that.
Yeah, I think, and this is probably like one of my spiciest hot takes in gaming is I cannot stand games like the new God of War because the first like hour felt like I was just watching a cinematic. There was a few points in there where I got to do something, but for the most part, I'm just like, guess I'm just watching a movie, Like I sat down, I had like 2 hours to play that day. And like that first hour, I'm just watching like cinematics and I'm like, I don't care.
I get that.
Like some people do care and that's awesome. And I'm sure that game is great for them. But for me, who just wanted to sit down and like throw my freaking whip thing at people and like murder them and like, do fun shit. It was horrid.
I feel that. I feel that.
And that's probably going to get people in the comments of your podcast going like, what the hell is this guy talking about?
They're already yelling about Jacobs. It's fine. People make fun of me for games all the time. No, I feel that about, you don't really play horror games, do you?
I don't know.
I feel like that's part of it.
Resident Evil back in the day, but
I love Resident Evil.
the original one back on PlayStation.
Hell yeah. I still have it. I still have it because I still have my PS2, 3, and 4 here. I can't help it. But no, I feel like a lot of my variety gaming came in with horror, and that's what got me back into gaming after I like moved out, got my own place, and then got life, and then was like, okay, no, these little games, because things like Outlast that don't have any of that you're just going, are really interesting for me to watch, and I didn't really have a place to play it, so I started watching Let's Plays of a bunch of horror. But I feel like games like Until Dawn and all the super massive like choice-based kind of horror are so unique that they have those longer cutscenes in the setup, but it doesn't feel like that to me in the same way. And so I do get what you're saying with games like God of War and stuff, where if my ADHD doesn't let me hook on it, I'm gone, and that's part of the issue. Right. But I think horror establishes just enough little things as all of that is happening that I am figuring it out as I go, so I don't feel adverse to it when games have a lot of that, because if there is that level of suspense, I'm paying attention.
Yeah,
but narratives are hard.
That's what I like about the Borderlands games, just in terms of like the story, is
you want to hear a story
given to you as you're playing. You know
and people pretend it's not. People just all the time are like, there's no story, there's no this. I'm like, did you go get the echoes? They're like, no. I'm like, then what do you want? You're either going, there's too much story or there's nothing. I'm like, there is so much there if you just want that. But if you don't want that, it's as you're running, you can miss it. And that's fine. That's great for people. But then don't argue that it's not in the fucking game.
Yeah. The absolute biggest mistake, in my opinion, for Borderlands 3 was putting the siren lore behind beating the game. Not being able to get the siren lore as you're playing through the game was a huge mistake, in my opinion. I made a video on this because it bugs me so much that, like, as you find the things, like, you get that like a line of dialogue saying, you come back later, you can't do anything with this. And nobody, almost nobody is going to, like, after you beat the story, be like, oh, now I need to go back to the droughts and go, like, across the map and, like, read the siren thing. Like, what a mistake that was, man. I hope that they don't do that in the future.
I don't know. I bet they will do some things like that. But I think ultimately what Borderlands 3 really taught us with Mayhem modes is that TVHM may not be the way to go anymore. Because, like, I think New Game Plus was such a missed opportunity for a lot of games that don't have replayability because of that. Like, I want to be able to take my stuff somewhere. But 3 really does give you the flexibility, if you don't want to do that, to still have everything else. And it still feels wrong to my brain because I am such a New Game Plus person, but I'm just not. If I were playing 3 every single day, if my brain let me, then great. Like, that would be perfect. I would never go back to a TVHM, UVHM kind of like routine. And so having something that's like, oh, after you beat the game, you come back here, feels very much like a New Game Plus mechanic, rather than, hey, this is getting a little bit more open world and we need to guide some of it and we need to give people incentive for in-game content. But that type of content, I don't think is what people are grinding for at in-game.
Right. Now that brings up a question that I haven't actually looked into myself. If you do switch to True Vault Hunter mode, and you get to that same spot in the droughts where you first meet Tannis, are you able to scan that thing in True Vault Hunter mode?
I'm actually going to check.
Because if not, then it's, again, pointless.
I think, ironically, my hunt file is around that point because I was so just normal mode vibing. That I didn't do anything.
Normal mode's awesome.
Normal mode's awesome. I was like, I have Mayhem, it's fine. But I just... I knew I wasn't going to win that pathing at all. I was like, I'm going to prep. And I was like, we're going to have fun. I've never played modes. Let's go. And so I feel like that's about where I got on there. So I'm actually going to go open and check that later because I'm curious. I doubt it would, but I feel like it should.
Right. It would really suck. Like, if you beat normal mode, you unlock the thing where you can actually read the siren things, but then you start True Vault Hunter mode and it's like, yeah, now you're not able to do that anymore. It wouldn't make sense, would it? It
wouldn't make sense with the way they have it. It would make sense more in a 2 style of, I think, UVHM, but like there's too much in 3 to have you nerfed that much, I feel like.
Right.
Especially if they're not explaining that explicitly, because it would feel like that's the next logical step.
Right. I think it would also be awesome, just as a thought for like the next game, in order to give people like that feeling of a new game plus if they really want to do it, because I know that there are people that are like, okay, I beat the game, I need to switch to a harder mode.
Yeah.
And obviously Mayhem achieves that without you having to play through the story again, which I love.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be cool if, say, in the next game, if they do like a similar thing to Mayhem, I don't know what they would call it or whatever, but once you beat normal mode, you've unlocked that, extra difficulty thing of Mayhem or OPs or whatever, even for your new game plus.
Yeah.
So say you wanted to go like super hardcore, you beat the game, you now switch to true vulnerable mode, but you also want to throw on Mayhem 10. Go wild, I think that'd be great.
I bet they will. That would make sense.
For the hardcore people, though, mostly.
And that's the thing. I feel like if it doesn't break the game for the actual target audience, because I always have to, we are not the target audience. They know we're going to buy it and play it anyway. And that's what it is. And we know it. Yeah. But if this is someone's first video game they're ever playing and picking up, having something that doesn't break that experience is going to be the most important. And as much as I feel like that would be something I could see someone modding, but I think as long as something wouldn't, in their mind, break that experience. Like, I know there was all the debate about arms race and stuff, but like, I feel like having the ability to really crank stuff up in very unique ways, 3 almost got so right. And I think they did a lot right with that, but like my brain can't fully commit because it's almost too overwhelming now, where it's like if you feel behind on it, it's like, okay, well now I have to like rememorize all this stuff and go through here, and then what does each one do? I feel like it would be really intuitive of the game if they did allow that kind of scaling pretty immediately for people. I'm trying to think. I'm still thinking games. I've cried in a lot of games. BioShock Infinite, probably. I just cry a lot, but I think the ones that like stick with me where I'm always like, oh no, I actually cried in this game. Like, yes, I cried in Wonderlands with Butt Stallion and whatever, but that's just me being a bitch. I think games that actually made me cry, Red Dead, Spider-Man. Those are the 2 top ones that I always go through. BioShock.
Borderlands 2 made me cry when I got a 94 sham.
I was just mad. And now my RNG is cursed forever, but it's fine.
Yeah.
Yesterday I was farming a Cobra and people were like, oh, still no Cobra? I'm like, of course no. I've had a single drop, but it's even like a world drop. I had 1 E-Tech in 4 hours, like nothing. And I'm like, wow. Yeah, this is what I get.
Did you see in my recent playthrough where I was just running through the beatdown and got one on my first run?
No, I saw Smoke got one too. My God, what is up?
I don't know. I had on the rare loot relic, by the way. If you don't, it works.
I cursed myself. It never works for me in general. It's fine. My first B took me literally weeks. Yeah. Well, that's one thing I feel like Borderlands, I don't know if I would do differently because it would add so much exposition to the game, but I love that people... This sounds like I'm trying to be diplomatic. I just don't know how to say it. People who watch you and Jolt specifically a lot, who then go, this is how they haven't played the game or whatever. And then they're like, this is clearly how this is designed. I'm like, the game doesn't tell you this shit. And Vocal and I talk about that. Like, it barely tells you, like, it warns you about leveling. You get one line from Claptrap that you cannot be paying attention to, but it doesn't really explain the slag mechanic. It doesn't explain the rare loot relic isn't legendary, so people still come in and then talk about that. I'm like, no, that's going to be like your uniques and things like that. And like so many things aren't explained in the actual game that we take for granted after playing them for 10 years. That I like that there's still stuff I'm exploring and learning, and I want that to continue in games, but I feel like there's such a ceiling people hit without going further to find that content. Because I tell people all the time, I didn't go on Reddit, I wasn't on YouTube and stuff when I was first playing these games. I just was grinding them on my own over and over and over again. And that's how I discovered a lot of my shit. But it wasn't like the part system was on Reddit randomly one day where I was like, okay, am I crazy? Isn't there a thing I need to get here? I'm like, there are parts. And I was just like, I've been playing this game for years. What? Like, and that's partly the hyperfixation, but like I laugh all the time about people not doing story over and over because my girlfriend is very much the 3, like 3 is her game and story is her thing with that. And so when she argues people, we just had drinks of opioid and that's what they were arguing about. And she was like, I have 500 hours and 3 of just story. Like I don't farm. It's just story playthroughs. And he was like, why? Like, I don't, what are you getting from that? And so I feel like that's how I discover the weird random shit. But Borderlands is a very unique game in that regard, where you don't learn a lot unless you decide to really dive into it. Keeps me going.
I think the going to the story of Borderlands 3, I think it's overstated that it's bad.
Yeah. Yes.
In terms of, okay, so this is me as a person that doesn't generally care too much about story. I'm not saying that I hate story. I'm a huge fan of story. I read books, I watch movies, I watch TV. I consume a lot of media. In video games, Borderlands 3 is a very good story, and it's told very well. It just has a couple of pacing issues and some dialogue issues. That said, having played video games for over 3 decades, it is very rare that you get a story that's even remotely as good as Borderlands 3 in video games. For people to be complaining about that story, to me, is just mind-blowing. Like, I get it. I get the pacing issues because I've played a lot of playthroughs on it. I know that Eden 6 feels like your life is being sucked out of your freaking ear holes. But
so does data mining and Sawtooth Cauldron and 2.
Dude, yes, exactly. I've said that exact thing. You travel to the dust. You drive across the dust. You go to Iridium Blight. You drive across the Iridium Blight.
It is the drunk uncle mission that I was talking about.
Iridium Blight. Oh, it's crazy.
It's that awkward moment in a script. And I get it. As a writer, the part in scripts I really struggle the most with is bridging that penultimate act together. Because I'm just like, oh God, like, this feels boring now because I want to get to the action. And every time, even if people are like, oh, it's fine, that's the one I'm like, this is wrong though. And I recognize that bit so much as like, well, I need to get them to the vault. So this is what we're doing. And it just literally feels like 2 guys who are just like, okay, yeah, go do this. Play a game and capture the flag where you're there, I guess. And we will figure it out. Go download it. And it just, you're driving back and forth. There's nothing to it. We just tear through it now. And so people don't, I think they think Borderlands 2 had a deeper story than it did at that point. But it was really simple. And it had a lot of issues in it. If you really want to sit here and nitpick. But
it was still fun.
It's fun and it's great and people love it. It withstands the test of time because of that. Is it fun? Did you enjoy it?
Right.
People yelling about the writing and 3 kills me because I say all the time it is a pacing thing. And so much of writing in video games you cannot control as a writer with where things go. That is not it.
Think of it this way. Imagine if you were making a movie or a TV show, but you've written the script and then now all of a sudden everybody's like, oh yeah, that won't work because we can't like film at this location, this location, this location. That's how video games are. Like a lot of the different departments work separate from each other. And I'm sure that they interact with each other very well as best as they can. But like having watched the recent podcast, the Tales, what do they call it? The Echoes from the Borderlands.
Yeah.
The second one where they had Anthony Birch on there was so telling on how it is as a writer in video games that there's things that are going to be completely out of your control and you got to make it work.
Yep.
Because he's talking about like, the bunker fight and all these other things that were like, okay, so we had to do this. And it's like, oh, so you can't just like write a script and be like, all right, well, I'm done here.
I'm done. The story's perfect. Let's go. One of my favorite tweets I ever saw was from a writer. And I forget what she was on, but she said one of the biggest lessons she learned in game design and writing and any type of dev was that she had updated her shit, turned in stuff. And all it was a character came and took off her jacket when she got home and like shut the door or whatever. And came in Monday to a panicked team of all this stuff of how much shit that would change and what it would do. And why she was like, it was a jacket. It was like naturally she would have come home and gone undressed and everything. They're like, this changes this million things. She's like, I did not think. Oh, okay, good to know. And it's one of those things where people are really like, why would they do this? Blah, 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 whatever. I'm like, what we can do in games now has gone so advanced that people, I think, feel like they're just armchair devs at this point. And I scream this about writing all the time anyway. But like, pacing is definitely the problem. It is not unique to Borderlands 3. I think TPS does it the best of the shooters. But people shit about that for other reasons. And I'm just like, TPS is the only one that feels like all the side quests are actually connected to what you're doing. And so it's easy to knock them out as you go. And so that I always anticipate the pacing to be worse later in the game with RK5, but it's definitely worse in the not wildlife section where it feels kind of like a repeat there when you're going, but it's still not even that long. And even 6 ultimately isn't actually objectively that long if you're going through it, but it feels like it at that point. And that was even the first time playing it. I'm like, okay, Balex, okay, this, okay, why are we still going Penn and Teller? Like, why are you here? It just kept going. And now I can enjoy it and like know how I break it up, but it's that's so much that falls outside of writing that people going, I have to mute the dialogue because it ruins it. I'm like, Borderlands always has had cringy dialogue. Like there's always been cringy jokes.
Even Jack has some cringy dialogue.
He has some awful lines. The ones people yell at me in cosplay are usually his worst lines. I like panicked when I met Damien because he was like, we weren't going for autographs or anything. And he was still like, no, like, I'm going to give you something at school. And he's like, what's your favorite line? And I was like, I don't. I like couldn't even give an answer. So he was like joking around, signed at something else. And I got back to the hotel and was talking to my girlfriend. I'm like, I don't know how to look actors in the face sometimes. And cause I'm fine with celebrities. I've worked with a billion of them, whatever. But like moments like that where I'm like, my favorite line is the throwaway line you have in an Echo that is like, that's the thing you don't, not anymore. Or like something like that. That is so not a line. I'm like, it's the actory lines that I'm like, there's meat to this and I love it. But everyone just wants to throw the cringiest ones at me. Every time I'm like, yeah, I get it. Ha ha ha. Yeah, pretzels. It's fine.
No, my favorite is the moral is you're a
total bitch. It's the best of that monologue. Good. And people, I will quote that line and people don't know that line. And then I talk about the spoon story and they're like, oh yeah. Like that's the best line. Because he's just laughing and it's so real. It's that you're telling a story. No one's laughing at it. And he's just like, moral is you're a total bitch. And it's so good.
It's such a he's so perfect with his delivery on so much. But
he's so good. He's pitch perfect. I love it. I'm gonna see him again at a con that I now don't want to go to because he's gonna be there. But it's fine. No, I'd never be fine. I'm never fine.
Meet your heroes. No, I'm just kidding.
He's so good. I think part of it is I've read so many scripts that are inspired by that type of role at that point that I'm just like he would fit so many of them. And I told him that when I was leaving last time because it's just some actors really become that inspo for a lot of characters. And he's just one of those people for me that every time I'm looking back at a script, there's so many moments that really, I feel like he just layers his intentions really well. And so it never feels ham-fisted. And so every time I'm playing, I will hear like a delivery of something that I haven't quite listened to that way before. And I still feel like I'm finding stuff about these character decisions. And a lot of actors do that, but he's one of the few Borderlands ones that Roland does that a lot to me too. I have a lot of lines with Roland that I end up getting a little I need to explore that a little more. But he's just a master at it. It's
Can we talk about how awesome the pre-sequel was for new playthroughs though? Really how you would have like the different dialogues.
It would be so good. Tina. I say all the time.
I want more of that.
Even like the Vault Hunters having different interactions if you're co-op and stuff like that. Like it brought so much life to the franchise because this is one of my spiciest takes. People just want to fuck Maya. They don't actually like care. Like we were attached because it was like a self-insert of this is the Vault Hunter I like playing. But I yell all the time about her echoes and wildlife and no one ever talks back to me about it because there are 4 quick echoes and that is all we have of her character in 3 or in 2. And so in 3 when they're like, oh my God, I'm like, no, the reason this death was effective is because you gave a shit about her, but she didn't impact the story at all because it wasn't there. So literally all it did was allow a power to transfer. It allowed that siren lore in front of your face and for the Tannis reveal. It was an effective death because it got you guys pissed off and it had to be something high stakes.
Here's the thing. Here's why people think that Maya is so deep because of the meat bicycle built for 2.
I thought you were going to say because of the boobs.
No, well that too, but no, because of the low cut on the side of her. Yeah, that's no. But the meat bicycle built for 2. It's like
dumb
this
pants
thing to introduce Krieg, and they somehow like associate that with like some sort of crazy character development for her because she doesn't just kill him. There's not a whole lot going on there with Maya.
There's not a lot going on with Tina. There's not a lot going on with Maya, and people just yell about characterizations. I'm like, Tina had
Tina's
more
got a lot
Dragon's Keep.
more.
She's had more now, but in Borderlands 2, when we meet her, no, she has nothing. Dragon's Keep,
Do you remember?
yes.
I've tried to tell people this and nobody seems to believe me, but at launch of Borderlands 2, before Assault on Dragon Keep, at launch of Borderlands 2, I remember people hating on Tina.
Yes, they hated on Tina and they hated Roland's characterization, because that's what I yell about with Kevin Hart, where I'm like, it literally, you go back to any message board from when it first came out, and people are like, he's so serious and so whatever, like what happened? I'm like, you were pissed.
In Borderlands 1.
Literally, you're pissed now. I main Roland. Like he's one of the only interesting things, because one, I love that they admit this in the podcast, didn't have a plot. They just didn't have a plot. They didn't know what they were doing. It was an accident. And I love that it happened. I love that it established everything else, but people absolutely hated Tina and they hated what they did to Roland. And that was really it. People
look how things have turned, you know?
Yeah.
Look how things turned for Tina.
Top 5, because we're being super structured today.
I love top 5s. I don't know if you know that about me.
Yeah, I mean, are you a listicle kind of guy? Like, what are your feelings about? Lists. Wow, really? Wow. Yeah. I did not know that.
Some people don't know that. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, little known fact about K6, guys. He likes to list.
It's one of my top 5 favorite things to do.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay, I mean, we're on a Borderlands rant, so worst Borderlands 6 we could, but it feels a little mean, but fast food. We've argued about fast food before. That's the easy one.
Right. I don't even know what to say about fast food. I think that there's something wrong with my taste buds, legitimately. I'll tell you a little backstory here, and this may or may not be true, but when I was a little kid, I went and spent the weekend at my grandmother's house and love her to death, but she was a terrible cook. She went to make some mashed potatoes, the instant mashed potatoes. Yeah. And she makes it, she brings it out to the table, and it's always really runny. It's almost like potato soup at that point, but it's on a plate. So I immediately dig in, and she's as the spoon hits my mouth, she's like, no, wait. And I'm like, I burnt my tongue. And I swear to God, I've got a spot on my tongue that's missing taste buds. So I think that there's something wrong with me in terms of the way I like to eat things.
Okay.
Because of the taste buds. So long story short.
This deep-seated trauma from these mashed potatoes.
I like well-done steak.
Oh my God, you're crazy. You're crazy. Well,
with
I
ketchup.
Can't. I do like it in red wine. I do like it in red wine. But my thing is, I think if I didn't have such bad TMJ, maybe I would like it firmer. But it's I can't chew it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's all about who makes it.
It is.
I've had well done steaks that are shoe leather, as people say. Yeah. I've had that.
I don't mind well done steaks and salads and when there's strip steak or something like that as well. I'm not I can't eat this. If it's good steak, it's good steak.
Exactly. And if it's good steak, you don't need anything with it. But
no.
If it's if it's Applebee's steak, you're gonna.
I used to put ketchup on scrambled eggs, so.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I like ketchup. What can I say?
Good. It's good. My cat has a thing with mayo. I don't know why I hate it. It's not funny, and they've run with this meme for so long now for no reason, and they're like, eat a spoonful of mayo for charity. I'm like, no, I will gag on stream. This is not no. I was a Miracle Whip bitch growing up. No, fast food is just always funny to me because people scream about Wendy's all the time, and I'm like, you're wrong. It's bad.
Wrong in terms. Yeah, that's why. Okay, I was about to get
we're
Wendy's
chill. It's bad.
Okay, here's the thing. Wendy's was great in the 80s.
Yeah, Wendy's used to be good, and then it was the early 2000s. I think when they went from when they were trying to compete, whatever. When they started making their fries with real potatoes, and everything went to shit. Because it used to be the single was really good. And that would be I would be excited on a road trip because, I'd pass it or whatever. My high school boyfriend worked at Wendy's, whatever. And I was it's not as good at that point, but it was still had some stuff. It was the only place open Christmas Eve. And me and Telepath ended up ordering it because we forgot to eat so late. And we're like, okay, well, everyone yells at us about Wendy's. Maybe we're wrong. It was inedible. And I'm not picky with food. And I'm if I can't let it sit for 3 seconds and then I get it and it's that bad, it's not good. I feel like everyone is gaslighting me. I don't know why this is it's overpriced and it's not consistently good. Say what you will about McDonald's, it is consistent and it is cheap. You know exactly what you're getting every time you go to McDonald's. Sometimes the fries are better and that's it. I get people shitting on In-N-Out fries, but I don't get them shitting on the burgers. I still like Sonic, but I think that's nostalgia more than anything because it's not really close to here.
Sonic is too expensive for how not great their food is.
It is. I like the
It's not like
closest
their
one
food
is
terrible.
Disneyland.
We've got one that's really close by, but we only go there for the drinks.
I was like that. The drinks are what gets me there, like the cherry limeade, the Sonic Blast. They used to have the sunrise smoothie in the morning. That on BLT. Perfect.
Best thing for me is the grape cream slush. You ever had one of their cream slushes?
No, I haven't.
Oh, go
next time I go to Anaheim. Yeah,
grape cream slush. It is so good. It's like grape with vanilla, mix, and it's so good.
Do you have a Zaxby's near you? I don't remember how far they go.
No.
It's like I feel like it's just a southern thing. I fucking miss Zaxby's, and I didn't think I would because I talk all the time about Waffle House, but Zax sauce and like the Texas toast you get from it, baller. And it's so good, and it's nowhere near here, and it's so sad. But like we finally have a Shake Shack, and it's fine. Like I feel like most hype things, I'm like, let's go to the basics. Burger King sucks, but I would really McDonald's, Taco Bell are consistent. You may feel like crap, but you know exactly what you're getting. I think Chick-fil-A fries suck, but I love Chick-fil-A. Their fries, it's just too potatoey. Like I love potatoes, but the waffle fries just feel like I will eat them, but their hash browns are way better. Like I prefer their breakfast at that point. But if I have the Chick-fil-A sauce, I'll devour the fries because it's just it's like how the bee is just a delivery method for the Sandhog. It's literally me with the fries and the Chick-fil-A sauce. That is how I feel like.
That's your bee hawk right there.
It is. It is. It's so good.
That into the mouth.
I used to have Polynesian sauce, and one time a coworker made me try the Chick-fil-A sauce, and my life changed, and I never was the same. But I'm from the South, so I get the gay pass on Chick-fil-A, and I give it to everyone because an Arnold Palmer is hard to find out here. I'd probably put that, and then if we consider Five Guys, they're pretty solid. Habit is pretty solid, but only because they have onion rings. A lot of places now. I miss a lot of local fast food places, and so that's a lot of the issue. But chain, I think most people are sleeping on the wrong ones. Like Crystals, I think, you feel awful, but again, you know what you're getting, and after a flight, sometimes it's what you need.
I was gonna say, one that gets shit on all the time is Arby's.
Dude,
but I think Arby's is consistent.
It is the curly fries. I would say the only better curly fries, AMC curly fries, and then if you remember in malls, they used to have Great Wraps everywhere, and Great Wraps had the good seasoning on their curly fries, but that was mostly the seasoning was better than the fry, but it was solid. But yeah, I would agree with that. Their Arby's is chill. They have good chicken tenders, and you can't get roast beef anywhere else. Solid.
Roast beef's pretty good.
Waffle House, delicious. Better than Denny's.
You gotta be in the right mood for it, though.
You do, yeah. Because
I'm
gonna feel really gross after. I haven't had it in years. There's only like one I think down here, and I'm just don't live in Hollywood anymore, so it's so out of the way that I'm like I'm not gonna hate myself. But I love it. Panda Express, dude. Panda Express, yes.
Never had Panda Express.
You've never had really?
We don't have one nearby. I'm in West Virginia, so we
I feel like that's a common one.
We just got roads like last year.
Some power lines.
Those are pretty cool. No, we don't have those yet. Right now,
soon.
This whole operation's on generator.
Well, with your Wi-Fi issues lately, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, it sounds right.
I know we still don't have fiber here.
That was terrible. Oh, you don't have fiber yet? Really?
Because our building is like locked to like just AT&T, and so I think they just would have to upgrade the whole building because whatever deal they have. And so I keep getting emails going, "Hey, upgrade to fiber." I'm like, I call, and they're like, "Oh no, you have the fastest available." I'm like, it's still better than charter. It's fine. But I know it's like everywhere out here you think it would be, but we have a good amount. We just are missing a lot of the, I think, heart and soul fast food places because we just have so many like local little diner kind of stuff. You can find pretty much anything, but Panda was something that I feel like I conditioned myself to like because we don't have good Chinese restaurants out here. And I'm biased because when I grew up in Knoxville, one of my friends was, and this sounds awful, she was the only Chinese girl in our school. And so her parents ran the Chinese place. And that was in town because it was a small ass town in Knoxville. And it was cool because we always had like the Chinese New Year parade and like we made this drag. And it was like the school was surprisingly like cool about it being in East Tennessee. But I remember when I went to her house for Chinese New Year once, invited over, and I was like third grade, and they had actual authentic Chinese food. And then her dad still made like a fried rice thing over here and like stuff like that for us because it was like, yeah, just in case, like it's fine. This is what you're used to. I'm like, no, I want to try it. Like it was just so exciting. So I'm like, oh my God, all of this food is so good. And I think I got really spoiled at a young age of like actual Chinese food that then I found one place in Atlanta that was like fine, but out here there's a passable place, but I just end up getting lettuce wraps or something. It's not even great.
Right.
And so Panda, it was convenient and nice and, you know, carby American Chinese food, but something about the orange chicken hits harder than any other Chinese place out here. I recommend it if you're traveling. It's a sodium shovel, but it's delicious.
I love sodium shovels.
I do too. Oh, it's so bad. One time, it's so god. People think I'm crazy because it's like actor body dysmorphia, whatever. But I'm always like, my face gets so puffy when I haven't been drinking a lot of water. Like right now, I'm really like puffy, and people think I'm crazy. But this coworker at my old job, we used to, it was social media agency stuff, and we would always FaceTime to like kind of body double unintentionally when we were just behind on work, and it became an everyday kind of like casual thing. I'd answer, and then we just sit there in silence and do our thing. And I did, and I sat down, and he's so nice, he's so sweet, and he was sitting there for a bit, and he goes, "Did you have a lot of salt yesterday?" And I was like, "Yeah, I guess, yeah." He goes, "Yeah, I can just, you just look a little," and I was like, this was so unprompted out of the blue, and he had no idea. Like, there was no logic to what he said being like a thing that you maybe shouldn't have said, but I felt so validated in that moment where I was like, thank you. People tell me I'm crazy, and they're like, I'm like, I feel my face swelling. Panda is one of those where I'm like, well, we're gonna have a moon face for a couple days. Gonna be worth it. But it was so funny that just it feels like something someone would say in stream, where it's like, hey, you look puffy today. Are you bloated? How you feeling? Like,
this feels like an Incredible Hulk moment for me, because I'm like, that's my secret cap. I'm always bloated. Literally always, baby.
Let's go. Body issues always. I'm like, I can't even keep track of these up. I'm like, it's not even. I just want to pick brain.
I don't know
why Why do we try? Why do we try structure? Just want to talk.
How about just movies in general?
We can do movies. We can do movies.
Go with the movies. All right.
It's hard. I hate top 5, like when people are like, what's your favorite thing? Because it changes. So I always try to look at it. And if I were to die today and make a time capsule for someone and be like, these are movies you need to see versus favorite. And I have to put that caveat because I'm the idiot with a Pulp Fiction and a Jurassic Park tattoo. And people are like, why are they on the list? Ironically, I think Jurassic Park would probably go on there. The first Jurassic Park. I think it's a masterclass of exposition. And I could rant about young Spielberg forever, but there's a specific scene at the beginning of that movie that I think just absolutely pinnacle of the genre. I want to put something like The Big Lebowski in there, but I feel like it's probably too niche. But I may argue that Scream, I think, is worth going in there. Covers a bunch of satire, a bunch of horror. It gets a lot of tropes in there. I don't know if I'm going like Oscar cerebral kind of thing. Like I love, there's like Kramer versus Kramer, like a bunch of really great movies, Mr. Holland's Opus, but I feel like it's too, I don't know. Like, I want to put Father the Bride of Broadcast News on there because they're two of my favorite movies. I'm like going through, I'm like, okay, what are like I don't really want to put Scorsese in there. I don't want anything. I'm like, what do I feel like would be necessary to be like, this is art, go make art, or just things that would be like, this is a lion in a movie capsule. Here you go.
Yeah, it like you said, it's always tricky because like for me, my list changes frequently.
So frequently, yeah. And like, what am I in the mood to watch? Am I rewatching a lot? Steve Jobs 2015.
Like if I name 5 now, those 5 might still be some of my favorite movies, but like a year from now, I might be like, okay, you know what? These 5 are like my favorite at this moment.
Exactly. And I feel like a lot of those change. And like, I love so many movies too that I just wouldn't necessarily put on a favorite, even though there may be some of my more watched ones. Like I love Star Wars, not new shit, but I love Star Wars. Indiana,
Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones, clearly masterpiece. It's the best run of any movie, I think, honestly. No, I'm an idiot. Fucking Last Crusade, and
I love Last Crusade.
I may want to put Social Network above it, but Steve Jobs 2015, the Danny Boyle, Aaron Sorkin movie that no one fucking saw, is a perfect movie. Yeah. It's a fucking perfect movie. I can't. It's so good. So yeah.
You know what's sad?
Those are my 5.
I love Fincher, but I have not yet watched The Social Network all the way through.
Really?
I've watched like the first like half hour, and then I got distracted by something, and I forgot to finish watching it. So that's something I need to watch. And I love, like I said, I love Fincher.
How do you feel about Sorkin in general? I'm like, because it's dialogue, if it's not a thing, because I look at him as like his trilogy, but the biopics, specifically it's Steve Jobs, Molly's Game, and Social Network, absolutely worth a watch. And so they're all, he directed Molly's Game, but Jessica Chastain and Idris Elba kill it. So good. Steve Jobs, Danny Boyle directed it. absolutely fantastic movie. Jeff Daniels is unrecognizable, and Seth Rogen is too, and I fucking love it. But Social Network is one of those that I put on in the background because I've seen it so much, but that I still feel like was robbed of the Oscars, but it's one of those ones that will subconsciously get me in a creative mindset again. So if I'm sitting here feeling really stuck or uninspired or hashtag LA life sucks, like having it on just ignites something in my body where I'm like, oh my God, it's just so well done that I want to make things.
Huh.
Fantastic.
That's awesome.
Fantastic movie.
Well, I'll give you my probably less interesting top 5. So my number 1, I'm going to start with the opposite way I normally go. I normally go 5 down to 1, but I'm going to go with my number 1 is Bottle Rocket. Have you ever seen Bottle Rocket?
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. And there's a reason why Bottle Rocket resonates with me more than like most movies. Like, you know, growing up, I had like a best friend who was like a Dignan type character. Dignan is played by Owen Wilson. It's the introductory movie for Wes Anderson, Owen and Luke Wilson. So Dignan, the character that Owen Wilson plays, is kind of like this like eternal screw up, but he's like good-hearted, and he just wants to fit in, and he wants to be like a really good friend. And, you know, growing up, I was more of like the Anthony character, this guy who just always wanted to like try and protect my friend. So like the relationship that those two have in that movie was a lot like a relationship that I had with one of my best friends. And it just felt really extra special for me, that entire movie. The soundtrack on that was great. The directing, obviously, Wes Anderson. This was like early Wes Anderson before
he was Wes Anderson. Like,
yeah. Wes Anderson now feels almost like a character of Wes Anderson to me. Like his more recent movies, I'm like, okay, they're okay, but like he's just trying to like.
No, Royal Tenenbaums and Life Aquatic are two of my favorites of his because they're still so grounded.
Rushmore.
Oh my God, I forgot about Rushmore. So fucking good.
But okay, so number 2, this is a crazy one. The Nice Guys.
Really?
The Nice Guys?
I blacked it out of my brain, but yes.
Really? Because you didn't like it? Or?
I went on a really bad date watching it. And so I feel like I didn't give it a fair shake, but it was one of those where I've thought about going back and watching it, and I just haven't had anyone ever recommend it. So I'm like, whatever.
I love Shane Black movies.
Okay.
Shane Black, who did, you know, the original Predator, Lethal Weapon, and then did The Nice Guys. And why there is not a sequel to The Nice Guys is a crime, honestly, because Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling are perfect together. Like those two have such an on-screen chemistry. It's amazing. And then, I don't know, like that's one that I've probably watched like 10, 15 times already by now. Yeah. So same with Bottle Rocket. I've seen that one probably 30 times. But number 3 on my list, I'm going to go with like old school. I'm going to say Wizard of Oz. Because Wizard of Oz is one of those movies that like has the first time you see it, or at least for me, the first time I saw it as a kid, I was like, wow. You know, because you got the black and white, and then it switches to the color, and you got like the story, and it's so grand. Yeah, it's so good.
Wicked will probably be on mine, ironically, when it comes out. Okay. Yeah, because it's fantastic. But yeah, I feel that.
Okay. Number 4, I'm going to go with this is always tricky. Like I love Tarantino movies.
Same.
And obviously Pulp Fiction was one of those ones that had a huge impact on me, because I saw that when I was about 18, I think it was, when I was in the theater.
Please say what I think you're going to say.
Came out in the same summer.
I said, please say what I think you're going to say. What's the best Tarantino, though?
The best Tarantino is True Romance.
Really? Okay, similar vein. No, but similar vein. That he doesn't even consider that in his 10, and I love that. That is, listen, I fucking love Tim Roth with every fiber of my being.
When Clarence walks up to Gary, oh God.
I have the script in a book that's signed over on the thing over here at the shelf.
You got the script for True
Romance? Do. Yeah, I do. And it's signed by the cast. I love it so much.
When Christian Slater's character, whose name is Clarence in the movie, he walks in to Gary Oldman, who plays a Jamaican drug dealer, who like, it's such a crazy casting, but he nails the role.
It's so good.
When he like walks up and he hands him the empty envelope and he goes, this is what I'm going to give you and nothing more. And he opens the envelope. I was like, dude, that's such a badass moment in cinema history right there. And then my final one, Once Upon a Time in the West.
Okay.
Speaking of badass moments,
Okay.
when Charles Bronson gets off the train, that is one of the greatest scenes in cinema.
See, now you have me
Period.
thinking about Midnight Run, because I feel like that's how I felt about some of the turns Midnight Run. It just was such a quintessential moment for me. Like, I'm surprised Godfather's not on here. I would probably remove one of mine and throw on Silver Linings Playbook, because fuck David O. Russell. But also, I Heart Huckabees was so good at the time. But no, it's so poorly done now. This is the first line from the script of Pulp Fiction. It was supposed to be Reservoir Dogs, but the first line is Bob's Pancake House Morning, and I didn't really need that tattooed for the rest of my life. But I think Reservoir Dogs is a master class of a movie.
That would actually be my second favorite Tarantino movie, believe it or not.
People either sleep on, like, I love Django, I love Inglourious Bastards. Like the intro for Inglourious Bastards with Christoph Waltz, fantastic.
Dude.
But
if you cast anybody else in that role, it's not the same.
No, and that's what I feel like about Django with the opening scene with him, because that cart was because he broke his leg, his ankle or whatever in real life. So they built it and put the little tooth on it, and it makes the scene. But I can quote most of his movies start to finish at this point, because I've just seen them so many times. And they're fantastic. It's something about Reservoir Dogs, and it just goes back to the very much, like, clearly this is a group of people making a movie out of passion. Like, it was their own suits, their own car. It was him proving he could do this. But my God, Tim Roth and Harvey Keitel in those roles changed my life. I could write a whole thesis on Tim Roth in that movie.
Dude, not to spoil anything for anybody that might be watching this and hasn't seen Reservoir Dogs, so I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm just going to say that ending is so powerful.
That's a movie that made me cry. It's so I still hear in that first cut opening scene where we're real time going, when they're in the car and he's just absolutely screaming for him. I can't, so many of those moments are stuck in my head, but hearing that cry at the end breaks me every time.
Yeah.
Every time. So and the stuck in the middle with you scene.
Yeah.
So good.
Michael Madsen was perfect for that role.
So good. I also have that. I have that script autographed by Madsen.
Who plays the son of the leader? Oh God.
Oh God. What's his name? Oh God.
I want to say it's Chris something, but I don't think it's it. It's gonna drive me crazy
Chris
now.
Penn. Chris Penn. Yeah.
Chris Penn. Thank you.
I was like
Sean
Eddie.
Penn's
I'm like, no,
brother,
that's a nice guy, Eddie. What the fuck is his name?
He was so good too.
Everyone was so well cast in that movie.
Perfect in that, yeah.
They were so good, but I love it with my whole heart. But no, you talking about I can't want to say rock up. You talking about these movies makes me think when we were just at PAX, one of the Gearbox dudes who were there for another game, but we were talking at dinner, and he had a rant about how Highlander is the absolute best movie of all time. And he was like, have you seen it? I'm like, no. He's like, we're convincing. And his now fiance, because I got engaged at PAX, turns oh, Highlander? When he started talking, and it's like, no, it's a genuinely good movie. He sold me on it. And I'm like, the passion for just no, let me lay the scene. This is important. I'm like, I love finding the movies that make people feral like that.
Right.
And it's so good. And they're usually weird, out of pocket. Wizard of Oz is an interesting one to put on there, though. But I do get it. The making of it fascinates me.
Now that I think about it, I actually want to bump Wizard of Oz for Blade Runner 2049.
Oh yeah, Blade Runner.
Changed my mind.
That's fair.
I'm just a Ryan Gosling fangirl at this point.
He was so good.
I want to move Barbie into the top.
I was like, no, he was so. Did you see they're submitting him for an Oscar?
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, he was great in it.
He was he stole the show.
Everybody was great in it.
Everyone's fantastic, but no one else could have done that. He was so. I can't even, there was nothing like it. I did see a meme the other day that was James Marsden and Enchanted walk so Ryan Gosling could run in Barbie. And I do feel that because it's a similar energy, but he was so, when I learned the patriarchy wasn't just about horses, I lost interest, killed me. But him crying about the mini fridge, I felt, I'm like, I love this man. Seeing him just you asked me for the time. I'm like, so funny.
What do you call the Barbie house? The Mojo
Dojo Casa house.
Yeah, Mojo Dojo Casa house. The first time he said that, I audibly laughed in the theater and nobody else laughed. And I was like,
no, that was me the second time I saw it because I dragged my girlfriend to see it. And it was so many moments that the first theater had laughed, but I felt dragged to hell and back for two moments. And it was the Depression Barbie talking about the A&E Pride and Prejudice, because the amount I ran about Colin Firth. Colin Firth is my Ryan Gosling at that point, but him as Mr. Darcy in that movie, nothing compares. And me as a teenager scream about that is the true Pride and Prejudice. And so I was like, okay, but the Matchbox 20 bits, because I unironically love Matchbox 20. Like they had a concert that was supposed to come at the Hollywood Bowl in 2020 that kept getting pushed. And then I didn't get to go this year when they finally came, and I'm crushed. I love Matchbox 20. And so when that became the meme song in the movie, people are like, should have been Wonderwall. I'm like, no, it was absolutely pitch perfect to be pushed. And I hate that. It was so good. So good.
Oh, man.
Great movie. I love Greta Gerwig. I really do. I would play with playing Lady Bird on there, but Little Women, Bob Odenkirk, man. Bob Odenkirk. My God. One of my favorite memes I've ever seen on the internet was when they took the audio of the theater from when Captain got the hammer in Endgame for when Bob Odenkirk walks on screen in Little Women. So it's just like him walking and hugging and the theater going nuts. And I'm like, this is a perfect video and encapsulates everything I feel about this man. He's so good. I mean, the video game capsule games. I know you said it'll be Borderlands 3 times, but that's one I always talk to devs about at that point.
Okay, so
the
when you
best
say time
games.
capsule,
Like they don't have to be your favorite games, but just like if you were just
I was thinking about Borderlands 3, like honestly,
I wouldn't even put Borderlands on my top 5. I feel like I occasionally think about throwing into, but I feel like they're just, if I'm making a list for someone who's never heard of video games and this is going to cover a bunch, I don't know if it'll go on there, but my list changes every week, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's the trick. If you're literally thinking of it as a time capsule that, you know, somebody's going to open up and then be like, oh, this is what video games are, then yeah, you probably don't want to like throw in like Borderlands 2 or Borderlands 3
because it's the like, looter shooter. It's like it's what it's its own thing.
Like, what the hell is this all about?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like Borderlands 3 has like changed my life in so many ways. Obviously, Borderlands 2 changed my life in a lot of ways.
3 is a lot of fun to play, I will say. It was really interesting being a like wallflower for the event. Go ahead.
You could just say Pandora's Box. That's got everything.
Nice little plug here for Pandora's Box.
I'm not getting paid to say it. So
fucking moon, dude. I've literally been stuck in an onboarding with 2K for a year because it was back when Josh was there, and then it was briefly when Rocio was there, and then now it's like I'm just sitting here. I'm like, every time I see stuff, I'm like, I've seen this shit for years. Everything that I'm like, Pandora's Box. Finally, can we talk about it? Like just all the shit I have seen through the years. I'm like crying, and everyone comes in. I'm like, yep. I just end up being a wallflower for everything. So it's a lot of fun every time I actually see like the lore book be announced, like soft launch. I'm like, yes, please.
I'm supposed to be getting mine soon. I don't know.
It comes Tuesday, I think. Tuesday, it should be Tuesday. Right. I know I checked yesterday just to make sure it was still not pushed back again, but I think because Randy tweeted about it, it felt safer. Because they also
somebody told me that they got theirs already, so I'm like, yeah, we should be good now.
Yeah, I'm so excited. But fantastic. Top 5 games.
So Hades. You ever played Hades?
I haven't. My girlfriend loves it. I can't decide what console I'm playing it on because I have the Switch.
Okay.
And I also have it on PC because they have Steam Deck.
All right.
And I also have it on PlayStation. That's the thing.
It's a great game for Switch because you can pick it up anytime and do a run. This is the beauty of Hades is it's like run based, right? Like but you can have long runs, which I guess on Switch you could pause it. So if you have something that comes up or whatever, but yeah, like, and the beauty of Hades is that everybody's pretty not great the first time they do it.
Yeah.
But by the time you actually beat Hades, you feel like you've accomplished something. Like it gives you that video game accomplishment that I haven't truly felt since like the 80s when I like beat Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I get that. There's not a lot of games that give you that feeling. My problem with the Switch is I got it in December, and in my brain, I think it's like a travel because I got it initially because my friend who did the port for New Tales was like, I want to see you do a run on it. I want to see how it works. I'm like, great. I never play it at home because my brain just can't. It's like, okay, now I'm on PC and same way I barely touch my PlayStation now, where then by the time I carry it to bed to be like, play something, I'm just like, just go the fuck to bed. And so and I took it because I was going to play Persona 5 finally on the plane to PAX, and I just cannot focus on planes. And so I'm like too tired to do anything, but I can't sleep. And so I'm like, no, I'll play it in the hotel. And I just never end up doing it. And so I need a game that gets me like in my routine because otherwise I go ADHD blind to it and forget I have it.
Right.
But Hades is one of those people say the button smashing is going to be better and play it. And then that would be one of the like I'm wasting time games, because that's how my girlfriend plays it a lot because she's obsessed with it. And it would be, you know, I'm sitting here waiting because she works in theater. She's a costume supervisor at the Geffen. And so she'll be sitting around, hurry up and waiting, playing Hades on the Steam Deck because you can. Right. And so, but I hear a lot of great things. So that's fair.
It's honestly like, I don't give out like high ratings for games very often. Like even like the Borderlands games, like I don't think I've given any of them higher than like a 9.
But you're a shrill, K6.
I know. I'm the worst shill in the world because apparently I don't give any of the Borderlands games high ratings. For the new Tales, I gave like a 5.75. Like my original rating was a 7.25, but then I found out that I wasn't the only one that got that horrible ending where it's like 1 year in the future, somebody's dead now.
Literally, I was so mad. I
was like, okay, I did a bad choices playthrough. I was like, okay, I deserve that. I did a bad choices.
I did a good choices, and it's still.
I know, that's the thing. That's why I changed my rating. I was like, okay, if I did a bad decisions playthrough and I get punished for it, that's fine. I get that. I'll play through it again maybe and like do better decisions. But then I found out that other people were like, I made like the best decisions that I could. Like I tried to always like save people and do the right thing. Yeah. And I got it 1 year later and 2 people were dead. And I'm like, this is annoying to me. So I'm like, all right, I'm dropping my rating.
Yeah.
And I didn't even think that a 7.25 was good. Here's how bad I am at rating games. I thought that's like a C-. Like,
yeah.
You know, that's what my brain thought of it. I'm like, okay, it's a C-. I don't like the Telltale games as a playing experience. As a gamer, you know, it's more about story. I enjoy the story is there and you know, it fleshes out things. I get that. But I'll watch an Eruption Fang video later and like truly understand things, you know? But for me, it's like the gameplay experience is the most important thing. So for me, the Tales games just don't really scratch that itch for me. Mm-hmm. That said, I thought up until that ending that New Tales was fine. There's some stupid stuff in there.
Yeah.
But I
it's
thought
Borderlands.
It worked. Yeah, exactly. All the Borderlands games have stupid stuff in there if you really want to sit there and nitpick. But like, here's the thing. Like, people are at this point now, and I'm off on a tangent. We knew that we would do this, didn't we?
I'm only tangents. That's all I.
People nowadays, and this is me like yelling at people to get off of his lawn, but they complain about everything. And the example I've always given is if A New Hope came out today, Star Wars A New Hope came out today, people would be on the internet saying that Luke is a spoiled brat and he didn't deserve his powers and he got Obi-Wan killed and he shouldn't be back in the next one. Who the hell's writing this? Get a new director. Why are they doing this slide wipe thing? Oh my God, I hate everything.
The blind transition would make them lose their mind.
Oh my God. Like they just want to complain about everything. Just enjoy things, people. That's my message to you today. Try and enjoy something today. Just try.
They won't. I don't know. They won't. I know. I was talking about this as like social media bullshit with my current marketing agency when they're asking about people reacting to stuff. I'm like, it's partly engagement farming. And I think it's just at the point where everyone is kind of forced to view themselves as content creators, even if they aren't. And I think people then take my opinion as fact. And it's really difficult because virtue signaling, sure, you can go on this whole tangent, but I feel like ultimately it comes down to the fact that people have a really hard time going, I don't like this, doesn't mean it's bad. It just isn't for me. Like everything has to be curated for you. So someone they don't even follow will post something and they're like, why would I care about this? Or like, then it's to move on. I see it all the time on TikTok and stuff like, this isn't for you. Then don't watch a cooking video if you don't give a fuck about cooking. Like other people do. And I feel like it's really hard to look at something and go, well, 100% of the things in it I didn't like, therefore I would have done this differently and it would have been great. And I'm just like, it's so boring. It's so exhausting to like when people start hating on Ted Lasso for being toxic positivity, I just gave up because I'm just, it was the most earnest show I'd ever seen. It made me and unexpectedly got me hooked. And it's one of my faves now where I didn't realize how much was going on me, but like the Jamie Tart arc by the end, it's some of the best writing, but I love Bill Lawrence shows. Like I love Spin City, I love Scrubs. But when people start turning on that, I'm like, you're missing the entire point at this point. Like it's always been this at heart. And people get so eager to be superior to things. I'm like, it's more fun to embrace the cringe. Like it's partly like this. The rest of my apartment is like, this is an adult apartment and I like made it look whatever. And now it's a mess and looks like this. And I have a 6 foot tall handsome Jack cut out behind me that was sent to me because I'm just like, embrace it. Like I went so hard in the don't be cringy vibe that I'm like, who gives a fuck? Like things. I don't know how to casually like things. I love things or they're like fine. It's so good. I say that about Portal too, though. I feel like if Portal came out, people would say it's awful writing and the pacing sucks and it's this and it's not memorable and blah blah. Like I think people just can't be pleased.
Overanalyze every single.
But then they miss everything. They miss the media. They have to be spoon fed and then get mad when they're spoon fed or not spoon fed. Like the tweet. Yeah. The tweet I keep talking about is you responded to it and we talked about Star Wars on there, but it was I'm not gonna comment on video game discourse dialogue. Like I'm not doing this because I was trying to like be like, this is me subtweeting, but also just like not like I genuinely cannot engage with this because they're just me right now and people are dumb. And it was a game that I don't even know what it was, but a clip was going around that was a streamer playing and the companion character, whatever, had been like, oh my God, did you just alter reality? And then they muted the dialogue and people lost their shit. And I'm like, it is one exposition line in a game that people are now like, this is what's wrong with games. It's quippy, it's Marvel, it's whatever. And I'm like, y'all are fucking idiots because the amount of times I've gotten a script back from a producer or whatever that I've had the Star Wars conversation where people are like, we want more like explanation at the front. I'm like, Star Wars throws you into it. Like it does not stop to be like, hey, this is, you have the scroll and that's it. But it assumes you're going to catch on. And I'm like, there's a line between like letting people get lost and also just trusting your audience to not be dumb. But honestly, now people literally need to be told things because they will miss it entirely. And so I'm like, yeah, okay, one little line. Granted, I don't know the game. I'm not even, I have no idea. But it happened when, not Control, when, what was the Forspoken came out and everyone started talking about it. I'm like, I didn't think it was that. I wouldn't even thought about it. I wouldn't even thought about it watching it. But people decided this game was what was wrong with video games. And I'm like, people don't know what dialogue is. Like as someone hired to write for my dialogue, I ghost write for scripts to fix dialogue. That is my thing. People are idiots.
That same thing would be true of Borderlands 2 if it came out today.
Oh yeah, people would hate it.
People would nitpick at like, I don't know. I'm thinking like the basic beginning dialogue with like Angel telling you, you know.
Oh yeah, Claptrap telling you to do stuff like Angel,
Claptrap saying, you know, I lost my eye, and they're like, oh God, this is so dumb.
Yeah,
we're gonna follow a robot.
It's so, I say all the time, I feel like the people who shit on 3, if 3 had come out and it was identical to 2, people would still hate it because the nostalgia machine is real. And I say this as a slut for nostalgia, but like 3 is a fun game to play and people are so set on finding what they think is wrong with it. And I'm like, but you guys don't play Borderlands for stories. So even if that was what you were mad about, it fixes all this other stuff. So, or when my favorite is when people come in and they're like, I would know, I have like 500 hours in it. I'm like, so you didn't hate it if you have 500 hours in it. I don't know how to tell you this. Go to therapy, figure this out, because
if you got 500, if you got 200 hours out, if you got 100 hours out of a video game, you got way more value out of that than you got out of any movie that you've ever watched in your life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It is. Yeah. Absolutely.
Value for your dollar, not necessarily
I also can shit on things that I like, and that doesn't mean I don't like it. I shit on Borderlands all the time. All the fucking time. I will drag it to hell and back, and I love it. But it's the same with like Dead by Daylight. Dead by Daylight fucking sucks. I have over 1,000 hours in it. It fucking sucks. I hate that game. But I have 1,000. Like I just
1,000 hours.
I can't. Like I cosplay it. I fucking hate the game. No one who plays DBD likes DBD, but we keep playing it because it's the only thing like it's just what it is. And
I was the same way with Call of Duty and Overwatch. I hated them, but I kept playing.
Who did you main in Overwatch? I'm assuming it was Overwatch 1 days.
Which one? Who?
I'm assuming it was Overwatch 1 days is what I'm assuming. Were you Zarya main?
I was a Zarya main. How'd you know that?
I just had a vibe. I'm a Zarya main.
Okay.
I'm Zarya Jungle Queen now.
I was actually proficient in, I want to say 4 different characters.
Okay.
I was probably the best at Junkrat, but nobody ever wanted a Junkrat on the team. And everybody always wanted somebody to like fill a tank role. So I would always have to swap to a tank. So I'd go Zarya. But whenever we needed a secondary healer or something, you know, a little extra healing, I would go with Zenyatta, and I was exceptional at Zenyatta.
Good Zens will fuck you up.
I would get as many kills as some of our DPS people.
Oh, yeah.
But also while also out healing the Mercy main.
Which is impressive on Zen because you can only do so much.
And then my fourth character that I was really good at was actually Hanzo, and nobody would ever let me play Hanzo. Nobody would let me play Hanzo.
I accidentally became which is why I laugh when people sit here and bitch about AIM and Borderlands and stuff. I'm like, it's a completely different fucking game. But I'm like, I will have games as Widow where I fucking suck. So I'm like, okay, like swap. But I'm generally Tracer is my baby, but like Cassidy or McCree and Widow tend to be those two go to. I'm like, do you know how much I've had to like hyper focus on a specific type of aim for that? But then based on like, I love Zarya, I love Sigma, Girlfriends of Moira main to a fault, Moira and Zim, but you just had a Zarya vibe. I don't know. I love Ana though. Ana's my baby. I do.
There's something about
I tear up
the thing
Ana.
that I liked about Zarya was that, you know, people would be like, oh, I'm about to mess this dude up, and I'm like, oh yeah, bubble.
Yeah.
Thanks. And now your entire team's dead.
I was literally in a match last night, like at 1 a.m., where someone actually came on mic and they never do. They were like, I hate this fucking Zarya because she's actually bubbling her team. Like, hell yeah.
Actually doing her job right.
Literally. How dare she? Especially because she just got buff. I love her. But that's the thing with things like Overwatch.
What were the rankings in Overwatch? It was like Platinum, Diamond.
Yeah, it's Plat, Diamond, and then the Masters, GM, and top 500.
Okay.
But then below that, you have the Bronze, Silver, Gold.
I was Platinum for most characters, but Diamond for Zarya.
That makes sense. It's a vibe. That's a vibe,
well,
honestly.
The thing is, whenever you played any of the other characters, like it would be hard to get your other teammates to fill roles that they need to fill. So.
Well, that's why people shit on 2, but I do really like. I only came into Overwatch and Overwatch 2 because 1 was so intimidating because I didn't play PvPs at the time, and I didn't have like a system that really did it. So I bought it on PlayStation and then just like never played it because I felt so behind. And so I finally got into 2, and I was like, I don't know how people did it before because the role queue, I think, is in the 5. It's perfectly balanced. It's perfectly balanced now. And I'm like, you can still go play open queue and have those same arguments just at 5. But people are like, well, you can't even do Diva now. I'm like, yeah, you can. Diva can fuck people up. You're just bad if you're like, because people don't understand poke versus brawl at that point. Right. And I'm like, there's just no game awareness for some people. And I'm like, but that's the thing with games like Overwatch versus like Call of Duty for me that I can never really fully get into is that Overwatch is a lot like Borderlands in the sense that there are very specific mechanics and character and play styles that you cannot find in another game. And so, yeah, I like sniping in Overwatch, but it's not the same as sniping in Apex or whatever. But I really love Zarya. I love Tracer, and those type of play styles just don't exist in other games. And why I habitually play Sirens, I feel like. This is not a top 5 video game list, but we got somewhere. We got somewhere,
you know. I don't know what my top 5 would be.
Ripping Band-Aid off, I always say Portal 2. Oh, Super Mario 2.
Yeah, Super Mario 2.
Okay.
I didn't get to play 3 when I was a kid. So it would have probably been 3, but we didn't have I couldn't afford it.
Same.
So Super Mario 2. And then I'm gonna go with Pitfall. Yeah.
Question mark.
I'm gonna go with Centipede. You ever play Centipede in the arcade?
Yeah.
Rollerball. Dude, I love that. That was like one of my early gaming experiences right there.
If you ever come to LA, I tell people all the time, it's where I took Mopey, and we didn't get to actually go back there, but it's a little dive bar near me that plays 80s movies and sometimes 70s movies everywhere. But they have just a row of free arcade machines that are loaded with like, you know, Centipede, Donkey Kong, Pac-Man, whatever. And they have like little photo booth. Captain Crunch chicken wings, best strings, cheap as fuck. It's amazing. Nice. But I get so dumb competitive at old arcade games when I go there. Like I will literally I will set up shop. I'll Parmesan fries or a pretzel or whatever because it's soft pretzels, haha Jack, whatever. Have the beer, and I will be stuck on a Pac-Man machine. And I'm like, this is what I am doing. And if the joystick, I'm like, this is the wrong joystick. I have like my favorite machine sound. It's a problem, but it's amazing and fantastic, and it's a lot of fun because I feel like we don't get those type of game. It's not the same playing it at home. Like I have so many different devices that have like old arcade or can play it on. The emulator. It doesn't. Yeah. It's one of my favorite places. I love it.
Well, if I ever get out that way, I'm whooping your ass.
We're doing it. You will, and I'm gonna whoop your ass in Pac-Man.
I don't know. I don't play a lot of Pac-Man.
I refuse to study. They have Miss Pac-Man. I refuse to be like, let me study the perfect way to do it because I know there's like imperfect. Like, no, I
don't care about that.
No, I just I need to beat myself every time. That is where I'm at. Like when lockdown first happened, I got a little handheld Pac-Man machine because I was so just like, nope, I'm going crazy. When I'm like doing good, I'm getting a Pac-Man machine for my house. I don't care. I love it. But no, so Pac-Man would probably go on mine, honestly. But Portal 2, I would put on there. BioShock 1, even though the UI sucks, it usually ends up on there. Weirdly today, I think it's because I just talked about, I feel like I would put Outlast because I feel like it really is such a unique horror game, and it's one that still scares me even though I haven't memorized. I still am a little bitch. I have to like blast Taylor Swift music because games that you can't fight back, that you just have to like run and hide, and like you can fuck up. It's not like you hide once and go away. Right. Absolute nightmare. But I feel like Resident Evil 4, 7, and 8 are all fantastic. I love 2. I feel like 2 doesn't get enough love, but I think RE4, and I usually play The Last of Us, but I feel like, I don't know, like part of me wants to be like GTA 3. Like it's just like like a old school, my brain keeps going like Simpsons Hit and Run. Oh, dude, SSX Tricky.
GTA 3 was a game changer.
It was. It's fantastic. But SSX 3 or SSX Tricky would be a tie between the two. But those games I miss so much. And it's partly why I keep the PlayStation around, the older one, because it never got ported. And I like the era of like Tony Hawk games and stuff like that we just aren't really getting the same type anymore. SSX was so unique and so fun, and one of the first games that got really, really competitive at. Nice. Fantastic. Well, thank you for coming on. If you want to plug yourself into your little outro, you can. Otherwise, I can yell it after, but up to you.
Okay. Hi, my name is Alec. I edit videos. You should. No, I'm just kidding.
You should hire me.
No. Well, I used to do all the time was I'd plug my friends, but I don't think they want me to do that.
They're like, don't associate me with this garbage.
Yeah, don't associate me with these bad takes about steak and stuff.
Literally, ketchup and steak and Borderlands sucking. No, get out of here.
Yeah. Well, my name is Ki11er Six. I hope you guys enjoyed us talking nonsense about a lot of nonsense.
And we had structure.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, she tried to keep structure.
It was more fun to not. Guy. It was more. Yeah. The option for structure is a safety net. It's great.
Ranting is fun.
It's fun, and that's why I like the video. But you're talking, you're vibing, you're going. Yeah. It's chill. It's what people wanted.
Go off on tangents. Yeah,
it's literally all people wanted.
And if you want more of that, I do that on stream all the time. Check me out, Ki11er Six on Twitch
and YouTube. Did you know Ki11er Six has a YouTube? You may not.
Every now and then I post some videos.
Occasionally. I got an alert at 2:58 this morning when I was like getting into bed. My phone buzzed, and it was like one that I think I'd already seen on my feed earlier in the day too. And I was like,
about that.
What did you? Because I was like,
so good.
I swear to God, I saw this video earlier because I didn't watch it, but it was the like Diamond Key one or whatever. I'm like,
yeah.
Why are you telling me at 3 a.m.?
YouTube's like, you know what? People subscribe to you. They probably don't want to watch your videos.
It's going, and either that or it's really smart and goes, hey, we know you're not sleeping and you should be. You know what you should do instead? Go on a rabbit hole right now. And you will if you click on this YouTube video. So it's probably honestly just being really smart. Okay. Enjoy your day. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.